Hello, I'm Dr. Wendy Rowley of the Wonder of Human Design YouTube channel, the Wonder of Human Design website, and the Great Global Healing Party playlist on YouTube, which has the Great Global Healing Party website, which is a free 5 times a year healing event on YouTube, with write-ups about it on the Great Global Healing Party website before each event. And they are in March, June, August, September, and December. Okay, and this is a new series for YouTube. It is called How to Find the God Within. If you're new to my channel, it's a very different type of channel. And when you go into a playlist, it's not like some of the other YouTube videos that are out there, or most of them, where it's almost like it's a complete thing. You can get stuff out of it, but my work is designed in playlists to be listened to from beginning to end, because there's energy work, and there's explanations, and there's a building, and there's an unveiling, and it makes a lot more sense. And it's almost like I'm a little bit more of a soul kitchen for people to come by and get some information, some enhancements in the new energy, particularly for women. And my work is moving into women's resplendence healing, which is online for teaching in January of 2027. The women's choirs to bring the heart field of humanity into a better alignment, and some other juicy things. And also something called the Return to Woman's Resplendence, which is to bring our sense of divinity back to ourselves. And that's a lot about that on the websites, The Wonder of Human Design, in the women's sections. Okay, so I have been mining the Akash a lot, because you can get, believe it or not, beautiful information of your spiritual nature from the past, because as Edgar Cayce said, the only thing that gets recorded in the Akash, or your soul's records of your higher self's incarnations, which is in your aura around your energy field. For those who don't know, I'm a naturopathic doctor. I have a long history of specialty in energy medicine or spiritual healing, or however you want to call it. And I love seeing how the spiritual anatomy overlays the physical anatomy, and how our connection to our divinity through the heart field and all of that is within us, and how magnificent we are. So, and then the work came forward, and here I am on the web. Ooh, never knew that would happen. Okay, so in the new energy, there is a new dimension, they say, that's coming in. And it's a little sliver between 12 midnight and 12:30, but it goes throughout our circadian rhythm of our energy field. And it's also aligned to, believe it or not, our galactic cycle, annual cycle. This energy is a new Christ energy. And so there's new opportunities for upgrades and healings at the Great Shift. And some of those upgrades have to do with frequency. So one way to describe it is we are moving from the ability to do resonance healing to octave healing. For those of you who know music and understand those things better than I do, I think it's a little closer to what they call that fundamental frequency. So, excuse me, I have a little itch. And so when we upgrade the energy of our soul's forces out in the greater field, where we're in group creation, we go from we have a higher self. That self begins to morph into a group higher self as it approaches and morphs into the human consciousness grid. And then that has apparently several group higher self spirit bodies that we create in. One on the human consciousness grid. Now I talk about grids. What is that? Large energy fields where we create as groups. It's our large family complexes and groups and tribes and nations. And that's a lot of what we're healing in the Great Global Healing Party. That which we created together, we have to heal together. So not to go off on tangents, but so don't look at yourself. It's a funny thing. You forget what you're saying. And I just did. Forgive me for that. For those who are new to YouTube, that's a good thing not to do. Look above yourself. Okay, so let me just get back to that, because I just free flow. I don't manipulate these tapes. They are just raw, because it's the way it is in this work. So the attunement is at this new dimension. It's actually coming into the, if I may be so bold, the death bardo. We have 3 days where we come into birth. We have 3 days where we come out of life, and it's 3 days from our perspective. It's very short on the other side of the veil. And there's a new slip of this dimension that comes through there. And we're starting to open up to the idea that there's a lot in this energy field and a lot to do with evolution in this time frame. 17 dimensions, all sorts of stuff come through there. And as we work with this paradigm and we bring forward this information, we're starting to learn new information. And my understanding is in 2027, the information changes to a whole new level that maybe hasn't even ever been here before, because this is the Great Shift. And apparently the Great Shift is something that happens very infrequently, beginning, middle, and end. You get these huge great shifts, apparently, upgrades and all sorts of things. And they can go on for a couple 100,000, a long period of time as they shift and change. Even though the Great Shift with the planetary alignments is a 36-year window, apparently we still have a 50-year opportunity starting next year. 40-year opportunity starting next year to really fast-track, heal our group creations. Okay, back to this seminar and what we're talking about. So as those frequencies come up, you have to learn to raise your energy higher. And how do you do that? That's hard. So this particular series is about how to do that, because we're humans and sometimes we just want a set of directions. So it's a little set of directions at a human level to give you some ideas of attunement, and it also has within it some juicy energy work to help upgrade those intuitive abilities to be able to sense that higher octave, because we kind of need that. We're sort of in a different pattern, and we need to upgrade some of these senses to take in the new dimension. And that may sound weird, but it makes sense. Okay, so this is not energy work for everyone. A lot of my work is attracted to the shamans and the healers and the people on the path and the juicy people. Some people in YouTube find their way to my work and they just go, "This is so weird." I'm pretty far out. So I'm a niche. So if you find this is not for you, just move on. You don't have to make a messy comment. Just move on. Find your happy spot. Find your people and find the stuff that works for you. Now, that's why Spirit is bringing so many different kind of people forward, and so many people want to get up there and talk about Spirit. I think it's a call in all of us. Okay, so I've been mining the Akashas, I said, about this for the new energy. And we get new Akashas in new energies with new information. And I had a new one recently. I worked through most of that. And here's what's in there about some of this early stuff. And then the next Akash that will come through has a lot of really great detail for going forward in this 2027 energy. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. What the heck is she talking about? What's an Akash? I had said that your soul stores up your wisdom. I started to say that when you pass. It comes down, it's called collecting the gold. You can see it happen in someone who's passing. That senior's so warm and friendly and loving. And then all of a sudden they change and they're not so friendly. And their stuff is very active and they're cranky. The soul comes in, the gold, taking it all up. And the soul is sort of absent for a second while it takes that up and does stuff up in that greater field. And the senior's just sort of there with all the stuff that is left that's unhealed, and they get a little cranky, and then the soul comes back. So you can see this ebb and flow at certain phases as a senior approaches God's door at the end of life, or someone who has a passing in that type of way. So this ability to mine that wisdom, which is these, as Edgar Casey says, the only thing we take with us when we pass, I think I started to say that and went off, is our spiritual wisdom. It's all the spiritual things we learned that are truths. And that's what you can go back and mine and get your old wisdom. IDNA said a very interesting thing. I work with her. She's the camp that's clearing these grids and doing all sorts of stuff. And that's another thing that's a little strange for people that are not used to that, channeling and energy work. But she said that oh crap, I'm losing my train of thought again. So sorry, people. She had said that, I can't remember. Hang on one sec. I'm going to have to let that go. It was about, your soul's bringing up the gold and that which you have and the work. And I'm just going to have to let that go and go. Maybe it'll come at the end of the seminar. Forgive me, I'm a free flower. I'm not in a studio. I'm not practiced. I have a script for the Great Global Healing Party that I read to be thorough because that's pretty trippy energy work there. But I free flow these things. So just bear with me. It's human and it's real. Okay, so as I said, I've been mining the Akash, and here's some of the things that I have learned. It's really fascinating. There is an amazing ability to tune in the heart in a new way. And all it is the same intention to tune to the creative source and the soul. But once you have this activation and this alignment that is done in this series, as you listen through it, that becomes actually easier. And there'll be a new little warm spot. Now, as you do energy work and as you open up new parts of your spiritual anatomy to your soul's presence, as Rudolf Steiner says, is warmth. And that's how you know. If you've ever seen someone who has passed away, that warmth is gone. And it's a very different experience. And it's the warmth and that living presence that makes you know that a spirit is in a body. And so when you open up something new and you have a new set of soul forces coming into something, there's a little warm spot that will develop in certain parts of your spiritual anatomy. And this activation is actually going to create a little warm spot that will be able to be felt. Here's your third eye, just above the third eye here for the new Christ intuitive pathway. For men, the Akash says it's on the human consciousness grid where their resplendence is. Resplendence is knowing we are divine. It's the connection in the heart that goes directly to the Creator out in the greater field, and it lets us know we're divine. Men's is on the human consciousness grid. Women's is out in the greater field with the soul groups, connected directly into the divine intelligence of the Creator. Why is that? Because women have to birth souls. That's part of the job when you come into a female body. And women also have particular spiritual pathways and energies that enable them to do things when they get together that men can't do. And that's another thing that's intentional. So this pathway of alignment and attunement has shifted up to from a resonance to an octave, which means a higher frequency. So we get a little upgrade in that intuitive ability to feel and sense that, because resonance is actually in the creational energy. Our ability to feel the divinity within us comes through the creational energy, through the heart field, from our soul groups out in the greater field. And that means that's a description that Alain in the camp often use, which means we come to this planet as a near-perfected soul. She says we plug into three consciousnesses: Gaia, divine intelligence, and the Christ, healing and evolutionary force. And I have mined the Akash and found all of this information. It's fascinating. The older Akashas. And so let me get my train of thought. And so the great shift is moving this up to a higher octave, and there is a connection that we can get that. So if we start to say it's in the creational energy, sometimes I go into we because I work with this camp up there, but it's us as a soul group, but it's in the creational energy, the resplendence of men and women. It's in the heart field, and there is a special intuitive sensing for that high frequency energy of the Christ. And what you'd be getting is that intuitive upgrade in this series. So often in the beginning of the series, we come out and say what's going to happen in the series, and it's a little bit of an intro. But I'd like to share one more thing. The woman's resplendence is upgraded at the Great Shift. And that's going to happen. And that's part of what the women's choirs are about. And I'm just going to leave that there to percolate with the women that find their way to this. Because you all need it. Your self-esteem, our self-esteem, my self-esteem is low. And it can be raised up in the great shift. And I think we're ready. All right, this is Dr. Wendy Rowley. This is the first episode of the series, How to Find the God Within, and I'll see you in episode 2. Bye-bye.